nahi sa vidyeta yo na rama manuvratah. Valmiki Ramayana. There never has been, nor is there, nor will there ever be a soul who did not desire God, who did not love God, and who did not desire to serve God, because that is who we are. So this is the first part. You see, we hold that personal identity deep in our heart, so we have to make an adjustment to that identity. If we want to remember God all of the time, then instead of thinking, I am Punjabi, I'm Gujarati, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, instead of dwelling on that part of our personal identity, the temporary physical part, we need to start dwelling on who we are eternally. What is our divine identity? Who are we really related to? That will start the process of bringing a natural, unbroken remembrance of God into our heart. When the remembrance of that identity becomes unbroken, that I am the soul and I belong to God, then we'll naturally remember God all the time. And this brings us to number 2. Those desires and attachments stay very deeply in our hearts so that we never forget them. So when we are eternally related to God, when we are eternally related to Krishna, and He's our only eternal relation, then when you're eternally related to someone, wouldn't you want to meet them? When you feel related to someone, there's a natural affinity, there's a natural attachment. Just like if there are 4 children playing and you're admiring the beauty of those young children playing. You look to the first 3 and you see, yes, a beautiful child, very charming the way they're playing. But the 4th child is your child. There's a feeling of relationship. So you're attached to that child, you're not attached to the other 3. Is that child more beautiful than the other 3? No. But you have an understanding in your mind that this child belongs to me. So there's a deeper feeling of affinity for that child because there's a relationship there. When we are so deeply related to Krishna, then when the knowledge of that relationship comes into the mind, naturally you'll start to get attached to Him also. And there's something else that makes us get attached. Jehi te kachu nij swarath hoi, ta par mamata karai sab koi. We get attached very quickly when we believe someone is going to give us what we want. Someone makes us happy. Then we get attached to them. Either we feel related to them, so we're attached to them, or they make us happy, so we're attached to them. You weren't related to your husband or your wife from the time of birth. You decided this person is going to make me happy, then you got attached to them. You weren't attached to them from the beginning. So who can really make us happy? No one in this world can make us truly happy because we're all seeking that happiness. But God is the form of perfect happiness. Raso vai saha, rasagvam hyevayam labdhvanandi bhavati. Taittiriya Upanishad says, you want to be happy? He is bliss. So only by attaining Him, then you can be perfectly happy. Then that clicks something in our mind. Well, I can get perfect happiness from Krishna, then why not love Him? Wherever we believe our self-interest is going to be fulfilled, we automatically get attached there. So if we know that no one in this world can make us perfectly happy forever, only God can do that, then automatically we'll start getting more attached to God. Wherever the attachment is, remembrance is natural. See, take an example of, let's say, a husband has been away in India on a business trip for a whole year. He's coming home today, and the wife is cooking his favorite meal for lunch. She's so excited to see her husband after a year. While she cooks the meal, she's doing constant remembrance of her husband and the fact that she's going to get to see him shortly. And when he comes, she serves him the meal with love and, of course, asks, as we always do, "How is it? Did you enjoy it?" And her husband says, "Oh, yes, it's delicious. Bahut swad bana hai." So she's very happy. But then when it's time to think about making dinner, she thinks, "I don't want to spend all my time cooking again. I want to spend time with my husband." So she tells the servant who was about to leave and go back to his family that you stay and make dinner. So she tells him what to make, and the servant was almost out the door, and he's thinking, "Oh, now I have to stay and cook this dinner. Okay, I have to do it. If I don't do it properly, I'll get fired. I have to do it properly." So he cooked the meal the same way as the wife cooked the meal, but while he was cooking the meal, his attachment was in his family back at his house. While the wife cooked the meal, her attachment was in her husband. Her attachment was in the cooking she was doing. The servant wasn't attached to the cooking he was doing, but he still did his duty properly. But his attachment was with his family. He also served the meal. The husband also enjoyed that meal and said it was very tasty. So what was the difference in the two? One was attached in what they were doing and one was not. One was attached somewhere else. The outcome as far as the taste of the food was identical. Both meals were prepared properly. So the same thing happens when someone gets more attached to God. They still function normally in the world. They still do all their duties properly in the world. Family duties, work duties, duties towards society, but their heart is with God. Sansar se vyavahar, Bhagwan se pyar. That's the Karma Yoga of the Gita. When Krishna is saying, "Remember me every second while you're fighting the war," what he's saying is, with your conscious mind and with your body, fight the war with full attention. But your attachment should be in me. So you leave your heart with God and you physically function in the world. And that doesn't mean that every second of every day you're constantly thinking of Krishna with your conscious mind. No, your conscious mind may be engaged in some work, but deep down inside you're attached to Him. You love Him because you feel related to Him. This takes time to develop. But just like that man loved his family so much that he was able to cook that meal, nonetheless he maintained a constant remembrance deep in his heart of his family. This is possible with God also, but we have to develop that attachment. We have to develop the desire to be with God. And this brings us to the third thing, our motivation. Any action that we perform, we remember the motivation behind it. So if someone's motivation is to attain the divine vision of God in this life, then that becomes the motivation behind everything he's doing. This requires a shift in the goals of our life. In fact, what it means is remembering God all the time, 24 hours a day, is only possible for that person who has made God realization the topmost goal of his life. That's what it means. And as I just explained, that doesn't mean physically leaving the world. You can function in the world while you are attached to God, but God should be the goal of your life. He should be the number one goal. That's why saints say, "Yeh sansar hamare upayog ke liye, hamare upabhog ke liye nahi." This world is not to make us happy. This world is for our use, to support our physical body. This world gives us protein and vitamins and minerals and calories to keep our body healthy. That's it. If we try to use it for something more, then we got off the track. Then we made enjoying the world the number one goal of our life, and God is farther down the list. But if we understand that this human life is for God realization, देह धरे कर यह फल भाई, भजिय राम सब काम बिहाई. Tulsidas Ji writes that the goal of human life is to attain God. But we need a physical body to do devotion, so you should take care of your body Do what you have to maintain your health so that you can do devotion, love God, and attain Him in this life. That's what the world is for. That's why we were given a human birth. So if someone approaches their life with this frame of mind, with this way of thinking about things, keeping God as the number one goal of their life and behaving in the world as they have to, because you have a physical body, you have to function in the world, but that's not the number one goal of your life. The number one goal is attaining God, so you just behave in the world however you have to. Sansar se vyavahar, you behave properly in the world, but Bhagwan se pyar, you love God and He's the goal of your life because you know you're eternally related only to Him and only He can make you perfectly